is Akindele, Akingami. I am the President and CEO of the Global African Business Association. We were started in 2014 in Eastern Michigan. I was living in Houston, Texas, and got the call from my high school friend. She said, we need to do something impactful in this African community. I came up with an idea and said to myself, we need to have a business association, but I'm not interested in hard chicken, dry green beans, and stale water. What I'm interested in is taking over a city. And that's what we launched in a city called Eastern Michigan in 2014. We are a business network and business support group. We're a one-stop shop. Period, point blank. When we started in 2014, it was only 4 of us. 2 Nigerians and 2 Gambians on a telephone call. One lived in Houston, that was myself. I was teaching middle school, getting cussed out by kids.
Oh.
Now, there is a rebuttal to that, but I don't have enough time to tell y'all what I did. That young lady right there, she's a realtor. She was living in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan at the time, and these 2 brothers right here were living in Detroit. We all got together on a conference call, and we started something that became the Global African Business Association. Now listen, something to think about, ladies and gentlemen, is this. A wealthy mindset is contagious. It is. Hang out with a group of like-minded individuals that lift you up. Please don't hang out with no bums. Don't hang out with females that bring you down. Don't hang out with brothers that bring you down. Don't hang out with sisters that hang you up. Hang out with people that empower you. Your network is your net worth, as Ms. Jean said earlier. That's real talk. The facts, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to your attention that of all the CEOs at Fortune 500 companies, only 4 or 0.8% are African Americans. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Of the 614 millionaires in the U.S., only 5 are black. We have to change that right here, right now. Housing and home ownership. If you are in real estate, you need to know what I'm about to show you. The Federal Housing Administration, that's FHA. There are policies that instituted segregation for decades. That's real. 80 years ago, a federal agency called the Homeowners Loan Corporation. If you're in real estate, you need to know what that is. Historically, created residential security maps of major American cities. So if you see things in red right there, that's a process called redlining.
Ooh.
It started 80 years ago by the federal government to keep you and I out of white communities.
Yep.
Guess what? Ever since the advent of the Community Reinvestment Act in the late 70s, all white folks did was change the language, and they still doing the same thing.
Yep. Right here in the middle.
Neighborhoods considered high risk or hazardous were redlined by lending institutions, denying them capital. The facts. Data analysis by the Pew Research Center, that's a think tank in DC, showed that 27% of black mortgage applicants were rejected in 2015 compared to 11% of white Asian Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, we at war. Real talk. African Americans are far more unlikely to be unbanked. That means you ain't got no traditional bank. I got an uncle today in 2021 that still put his money underneath the mattress.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. And I ain't talking about Houston either. Whereas the white population has an unbanked rate of 3%, black folks have an unbanked rate of 18%. Now listen, we know that the factors and things of that nature, we know that systemic racism play a big role in this problem. However, the truth of the matter is, we lack a system. We lack a system. That's the truth. Something to think about, the wealthy plan for a lifetime. When you're watching television and the news and lifetime. Black politicians do the opposite. They plan for today. They plan for everybody else plan for life. I work in politics. I know what I'm talking about. The majority plan for the weekend. Listen, it's time to rethink our strategies for the 21st century. Yes or no? Can't hear you. We have more. We sit, we party, we pray, we thank Jesus, glory be, hallelujah, but we broke. We don't have a system. If we do not change our thinking in this decade, for real, we will never catch up to the present, and we will be a permanent underclass for decades to come. How do you have a whole continent of Africa being controlled by the Chinese?
Ooh.
How do you have a whole continent being controlled by the Turkish? How do you have black communities being ran by Indians and Arabs and other people that don't look like you here in the United States?
Yep.
It's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of the way we think, with no system.
Damn.
We have to educate, we have time to educate our community on wealth building, which is true. We've been doing that all day today, folks. We educate on social justice. Every time somebody gets killed by a white police officer, we are burning shit down. We're protesting. We're praying. What happened? We're going to the White House begging Biden. What the hell we begging Biden for?
Thank you.
We shouldn't beg anybody with the type of wealth that we generate in this community. We should not be begging that one person that don't look like us to give us our natural born rights.
Woo.
We educate people on vote. We educate people on all kinds of things, but we don't take the time to build a damn system. We don't take the time to think about how to create sustainability for our community. Systems are the tools in which gives you full leverage over the community in which you reside. Systems are rooted in the network of business, government, and technology. Systems are running on connectivity and understanding how global dynamics work. Can I open an African restaurant in an Arab neighborhood?
They not gonna let it happen.
African restaurant in an Asian community. Well, how come Asian folks and Arab folks open up things in our community? Because they understand the system. So here's some examples of building systems, ladies and gentlemen. Some people sell, some people sell real estate. Some people flip property. Some people conduct property management. However, and this is important, however, the seed of building our own system is controlling the way your zoning in your city is handled on the planning commission. That means this: if we are not, as a group of people in this room, not putting real estate brothers and sisters on our planning commission to create the zoning that's favorable in our category to build wealth, so that when other brothers and sisters want to invest in commercial like this around here, which y'all call the beat, if we're not controlling that at the planning level, we have this conversation 20 years from now. Real talk. What did GABA do? We put two people on the planning commission. We put two people on the planning commission in two different cities. So we can always have our interests represented. Not just GABA, but the African and Caribbean community at large. Political power, just real quick. Black political power is rooted in social justice. It really is. Let's not lie. White political power is rooted in economic strategy. Black power is based on civil rights organizations. White political power is based on think tanks and chamber of commerces. This is how they play the game, folks. White political power, like the lobbying system. Here's an example of that real fast. I was on DC 2 weeks ago, went to go visit a friend of mine on Capitol Hill. I asked her, I said, how many lobbyists do we have on Capitol Hill that look like us, that are lobbying for economic empowerment? And she laughed at me. Now, when I go to K Street in DC, it's all white lobbyists. They control lobbying base. Credit game. It's one thing to teach people about credit scores. We've been talking about that all day today, which is positive. But the powers that be traditionally control the credit scores to determine our credit worthiness. That's true. Black people do not own or operate a consumer reporting agency. We don't. White folks control consumer reporting agencies like Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So what's the solution? Well, here's the solution. Develop your own consumer reporting agency. Everybody know about credit, but how many black-owned and operated credit reporting agencies, consumer agencies we have? We got to create our own system and create our own credit scoring system. All this is legal in the United States, folks. The credit scoring from our own consumer reporting agency can be used at the nearest black-owned and operated bank. With the credit score, the black bank can determine the interest rate for a mortgage, auto loan, and all that stuff we were talking about. The underwriter at the black bank can use the credit score from the consumer reporting agency to determine the final criteria for the consumer, all within our own ecosystem. This, my friends, is called power. Taxes. Very few wealthy people understand the tax code. That's why we always cry about Jeff Bezos. What's the other guy in space? Musk. Everybody. Oh, they don't pay taxes. The wealthy don't pay taxes. Well, hell, that's because they understand code.
Yeah.
Real talk. A majority of low-income people have never had the U.S. tax code, so they don't understand the game. Controlling our destiny. Listen. Control the tax game by controlling the vacant lots or land or lots that owned by you or your firm. Do I make myself clear? Let me say that one more time for those who didn't hear me in the back. Control the tax game by controlling the vacant land or lots that is owned by you or your firm. Control the tax game by lobbying for other incentives like tax. Now, if you're a real estate person, you should know about tax increment financing in your city. Tax increment financing, those are taxes that are captured and authorities in Michigan, where I'm from, they call it the Downtown Development Authority here in Atlanta. I forget it's downtown something. It's the same thing. Or Tax Increment Finance Authority. That's in any city in anywhere in America, where they capture taxes and build these nice, lofty development projects. And guess what? Most of the time, you're not sitting at the table. Now, for me, I learned this game not from real estate, but I used to be the chair of the Inkster Downtown Development Authority in Inkster, Michigan, and the chair of the Tax Increment Finance Authority. So I learned how these folks were coming into the city trying to play games because I learned that game right there. But if it wasn't for my GABA folks, my members who was on that board, who I was teaching them this information at the time as well, anybody could have came into the city and did what they wanted to do. If we control the balance of wealth in our community, we can lobby to create our own tax rules or code within a particular community. We've got to build our system. Listen, I preach like this all the time. We have got to stop running our communities like our black cities like community centers. Our local black community should be centered around manufacturing, industry, industrialization, and sustainable industrialization. You cannot run a black community on code enforcement, license fees, churches, and nonprofit organizations. You need more. You have to build sustainable economic systems to assist your own property values and an external source. And our city council should be running our communities like a community be sent. Shares of a company. Now here's another thing. We talk about diversity and inclusion, all these new words. We talk about after we got hands and police, and everyone talk about all this stuff. Some people protest corporations for forcing them to do diversity and inclusion training. Meanwhile, the powers that be purchase most of the shares to take over the company, to create new policies they see fit. Grassroots and social justice activists go to civil rights groups to sue corporations for discrimination. You see that on TV. This group sued, blah, blah, blah. They did, blah, blah, blah. We protested such and such, such and such. But the board of directors asked the CEO to resign from that same company, right, with a buyout package. We're going to fire you, but we're going to slide $750,000 as the partner fee, right? And they're going to hire somebody else to do the same thing. If black folks want to be relevant in 21st century folks, then we need to start buying shares of the company and take them over.
Oh.
Let me say that one more time. If we are serious and want to be relevant in the 21st century, everybody in this room need to get together and start buying shares of companies and take them over. We don't need to protest. We don't need to cry. We don't need to preach. We just need to take the companies over. It's not about protest.
Thank you.
It's about investing your shares to take over these companies. If you take over the companies, you put white folks out of business. If you put white folks out of business, they will take you seriously. Because now you're messing with money. You ain't crying no more. Wait a minute. As we're doing this, instead of doing investment banking, why do you need an investment bank? Because that investment bank is going to take care of your shares. That's a system. Globalization. White folks who tap into the global market, they do this every single day to build capacity and wealth in e-commerce, public policy, and trade. Black folks, in principle, not every black folk, mostly politicians, will not tap into the African diaspora to build capacity and wealth. Why did I put that up there? Because I talk to black politicians just about every meeting in Michigan about this issue. Well, you know, I get the layout. What about the issues that's going on here in the community? Well, damn, what's going on in the hood here is going on in the hood over there too. So we need to figure out a plan to link the wealth to build capacity. Think about it. Wealth doesn't come from being the best or making the most. It just simply comes from being consistent. Let's read that again. Wealth doesn't come from being the best or making the most. It simply comes from being consistent. You can't build wealth if you're not consistent. You can't build capacity if you're not consistent. You can't even have money in your pocket if you're not doing it every single day, folks. Decentralized finance. Now, most folks know what this is. Blockchain, cryptocurrency, all these wonderful things like Bitcoin we invested in. You know, it's an emerging ecosystem of financial applications and protocols built on blockchain. Now, we know that decentralized finance will set us free. So who is now thinking about attacking, they ain't thinking, they're actually researching it to try to regulate it? Bank of America, Chase. Why are these traditional banks afraid of decentralized finance? Because they know it can put them out of business. Well, when you are dealing with the fourth industrial revolution, folks, that's what it does. It disrupts the system. COVID-19 disrupted the system. A lot of us weren't ready for the system to be disrupted. Decentralized finance is no different. So we have to create our own system. And this system up here, ladies and gentlemen, just look on this chart for 1 second. This is what we do in capital. What we do is we take a city. Let's say, for instance, Inkster, Michigan, where we started. And we focus on 3 areas in that city. Business, government, and technology. That's our formula. Business, government, and technology. Why business? Because we want to attract international business, right? Agribusiness. We want to develop culture arts districts, build revenue, they build capacity, they build real estate. Real talk. I throw some murals up, I put together a library, and it started increasing the property values in the area. That's exactly what we did in Inkster. That's exactly what we did. See, I used to be the president of the library board there. $2 million project to build a new library, help put some murals up, rest is history, folks. Nigeria did that. Give me some. And real estate. If you're in real estate, ladies and gentlemen, if you're in real estate, we're not just talking about real estate, we're talking about EB5 investor visas, E2 investor visas, opportunity zone